I upload daily NBA content on this channel, so if that is something that interests you, then subscribe. Also drop a like on this video. It only takes 1 second and makes a massive difference. Also real quick, if you have not yet, new My NBA video. You know the spiel. If you're not watching the series already, go watch it because it's good. What's wrong with you? So today is episode 100 billion of hot takes. Literally every time it's a hot take Tuesday, I forget until like the night right before. So here's another hot takes video. I don't know how to intro these. That's it.
Absolutely incredibly with the acrobatic
De'Aaron Fox is better than Ja Morant. Yes, I included this take just to trigger my editor, Rudy. He is probably doing all sorts of things to fuck with this footage because he's a mad little Grizzlies fan, but I don't care. I do agree that De'Aaron Fox is a little bit better than Ja Morant. I think even by next season that will not be the case. Depends on how big of a leap Ja takes, but De'Aaron Fox was definitely better than Ja Morant last season. This season will probably close that. It wasn't even a big gap to begin with, but I do believe that De'Aaron Fox is at least currently better than Ja Morant, though I would not be shocked if that turns around in this season. Bam Adebayo has the potential to be the best defender in NBA history. So another take that I got in this was kind of like a take of one of my old takes where I said that Jaren Jackson Jr. had the potential to be the greatest defensive player of all time because he could be like a combination of Draymond Green and Rudy Gobert. And what's ironic is Bam Adebayo has kind of been that and Jaren has not. So Grizzlies are taking L's in this video, even though Jaren has been way better offensively than I thought he'd be at the start. So I guess it kind of evens out. But yeah, I do believe Bam Adebayo has the potential to be the greatest defensive player of all time. The issue with that is a lot of the guys that are already in that conversation, the footage of them and just everything about them is more anecdotal. Like, to me, the greatest defensive player of all time is Tim Duncan, but a guy who's in that conversation is Bill Russell. And he kind of is like Draymond Green and Rudy Gobert combined into one player, even though obviously those players didn't exist back then because they weren't even born yet. But my point is, you're never really going to have an unequivocal, like, yes, this is the greatest defensive player of all time, but I do believe he could be in that conversation 10 years from now, because he is just pretty much perfect defensively as a center. Paul George has had a better career than Damian Lillard so far, but because he's a hypocrite and doesn't know when to shut up, his career is tainted. I would not say better, but upon thinking about this, I would say they're pretty close because Paul George, his peak came earlier in his career, whereas Damian Lillard's came later. Both of them have been really good for most of their career. Damian Lillard was kind of great right out of the gate, but the best of their careers for Paul George, it came early in Indiana playing the Miami Heat, whereas the best in their career for Damian Lillard came later when he went on that run in not last year's playoffs, the one before that, 2019. But yeah, I do believe they're pretty similar. I think Damian Lillard is a little bit more talented. Paul George is obviously a miles better defensive player, but I think the difference offensively gives Dame that edge compared to prime Paul George. But I would say they're similar career resumes for sure. But I wouldn't say that Paul George has had a better career than Dame, just kind of they're pretty close. From the main man himself, Rudy St. Clair, Luka is going to win MVP this year, if not LeBron, and why'd you word it like this, Rudy? I can't. Luka is going to win MVP this year, if it's not LeBron, and be the youngest MVP in history. Use some fucking grammar properly there. Giannis isn't getting 3 in a row like Larry or Bill, and Steph isn't winning enough games to win with this roster to be in the conversation, and nobody else is a legit candidate. That one was a struggle, but I mean, yeah, I do agree with that. I have Luka as my pick for MVP this year for pretty much the same reason. I don't really believe the other options are really great. Like, I don't see anyone being really in the MVP conversation. Other guys would be like Damian Lillard and maybe Jason Tatum. I would personally pick Luka to win over them, so yeah. Malik Beasley is good enough to average 23 to 26 as a first option and could make the jump to a 30-point guy. All right, I'm pretty high on Malik Beasley as a player. I believe he could be an efficient 20 points per game with like fantastic three-point shooting. 30 points per game? I mean, if you want to argue he can average 30 points per game, sure, but he's going to be really inefficient and his team is going to be really bad. It would be like a Glenn Robinson type situation. assuming I'm picking right. I'm pretty sure it was Glenn Robinson on the Bucks who averaged 30 on like 40% shooting, whatever. Yeah, but Malik Beasley's not that good. I do believe he has very good player potential, like efficient 20-point per game guy, and then not abysmal defensively. But 30 is a little bit pushing it. The Spurs will make the playoffs and cause a first-round upset. No, there are simply too many good teams in the Western Conference for me to say the Spurs are going to make the playoffs, let alone make an upset. A lot of things would have to go right for the Spurs. Derek White and DeJounte Murray would have to take jumps. I just don't see it. Bam is better than Jokic. Jokic is better than Embiid. Embiid is better than Cat. Cat is better than Gobert. AD would probably be number 1 depending on if you consider him a center or not. So this order is all kinds of fucked up. Jokic is the best center in the NBA. Sure as hell not Bam Adebayo. After that, I think Bam is in the conversation for second best, but I'd definitely give that to Embiid, and I'd even give third best to Karl Anthony Towns, because with Bam, he's like just the perfect defensive center. Cat is the perfect offensive center. Both are really good rebounders, and I definitely say that Bam is a little bit more like better offensively than Cat is defensively, actually a good bit more, but offense matters more, so I would give the slight edge to Cat. I think Cat can be a franchise leading option. I do not believe Bam Adebayo can. I think he's an unbelievable second guy. Yeah, I'm not agreeing with his order whatsoever. And yes, Anthony Davis would probably be ahead of this, though I think the difference between him and Jokic has become less so in the last couple of months, whatever, I don't know. Kawhi has become overrated on defense and isn't close to the same player that he was in San Antonio defensively. He has to do a lot more on offense, so it's understandable that he has fallen off, but people mention him in the best defender conversation still. I would just like to say thank you to this man for saying this, because I wholeheartedly agree. Now, it's not like Kawhi Leonard is bad defensively. It's not like he isn't still amazing defensively, but Kawhi Leonard at his peak in San Antonio was like a ridiculously good perimeter defensive player. Like, it was stupid how good this guy was on defense on the perimeter. And as time has gone on, and as he's developed more into an offensive-minded player, his defense has slipped a bit. Now, that's not to say he's not even an all-defensive guy, because he still kind of is. And that's not to say that in the playoffs, he can't turn it up and be that defensive guy once more, because he very often does. But whether it be from the fact that he takes more shots and has to use more energy on offense, or his injury, or probably some combination of both, and the fact that, at least in the regular season, he doesn't care that much about that. He views the regular season as practice. He just doesn't try as hard on defense as he used to. He still has the ability to be that stupidly good perimeter defensive player, but he isn't anymore like 90% of the time. And I feel like so many people like list him as one of the best like top 3 defenders in the NBA. Someone did it in the replies to the tweet asking for hot takes, and I don't think he's in that conversation so long as he continues to not put his fullest effort on that end. Again, Kawhi Leonard is still like ridiculously good defensively, but he isn't like, I don't even understand how you get that good defensively good, if you know what I mean. The Heat were a one-hit wonder, and they are not going to be a threat this season. Part of me agrees, because I just believe that the Miami Heat completely overachieved. But at the same time, I also believe people were sleeping on the Miami Heat. I definitely thought they were better than their conference standing suggested they were. I expected them to lose in the second round of the Bucks, though, so I clearly underrated them as well. But I also believe they did overachieve from what their actual talent is. But Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, surrounded by great shooting, and a second-year Tyler Hero, Goran Dragic being fantastic, a lot of good defensive role players, the best coach in the league, that's a team you don't want to mess with in any context. And I believe that back before they had their playoff run, so I guess I don't know that that much has changed, but like, I feel like saying the Heat are a one-hit wonder implies that they're still not a fantastic team and that they just got there based on a fluke, because they didn't. But I do believe that both the Bucks and the Nets have a higher chance of making the finals than the Miami Heat, even though the Miami Heat did make the finals last year. Damian Lillard will win MVP. Well, I'm going to kind of tack this on to a take that I have myself. I believe the Portland Trail Blazers roster is the best that it has ever been surrounded by Damian Lillard. Obviously, Dame and LaMarcus Aldridge with all those other role players, Nick Batum, Wesley Matthews, Robin Lopez, that was better than this team. But This is the best team where Damian Lillard was the only superstar level option or even star level option, unless you kind of consider CJ in that category, which he probably is. With Dame, no LaMarcus Aldridge, this is the best Portland Trail Blazers team that there has been. And for that reason, I think there's a real shot that Damian Lillard really goes for it, provided health is also there, that the Portland Trail Blazers are like a top 3 seed in the Western Conference. I could even see them being a top 2 seed just because the Clippers and the Nuggets are not like solidly the first seed, and even then the Lakers are not as focused on the regular season to where I could see them not even being the first seed if they just didn't try as hard and there was a little bit of a fit struggle early on. But I believe the Portland Trail Blazers can be damn good, and I believe that Damian Lillard is damn good, so it's definitely reasonably possible that he would win an MVP this year. Again, my pick is still Luka Doncic because I think he'll lead the Mavericks to a higher record, even though I believe Portland has that potential, but it's definitely relatively possible. So I'm not going to say Damian Lillard will win MVP, but in order of my candidates, it goes Luka Doncic and then Damian Lillard, because I really believe in this Portland Trail Blazers roster. But yeah, I think I made my point. So that was reacting to hot takes. Go follow me on Twitter if you want to give your own hot takes for next episode 2 weeks from now. I'm kind of already overwhelmed, but whatever. Go check out that My NBA video if you have not yet. Shout out to Rudy for editing this video, and that is the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.